Fields of Mistria is a farm sim that I have been wanting to try out for quite some time now. As of November 18th, the developers finally released the first major update, and I simply couldn't hold myself any longer. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today, we're finally gonna play Fields of Mistria. This is going to be another 100 days video, but this time I decided to split them into 4 separate parts. This being the first, then summer, fall, and lastly winter. As 100 days type of videos take a very long time to record and edit, I wanted to try it out this way, and once I'm done, I'm gonna cut everything into one giant movie. That's all I have to say for my intro. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The very first thing we see is a cutscene with Aland and his sister Adeline, who are discussing the next step for the town, as they desperately need help since they recently got hit by a bad earthquake and lack the people to rebuild everything themselves. Adeline suddenly got an idea and mentioned that there is an old farm south of the town that she's willing to give to someone in return for helping them earn back the town rank. They wonder who might take them up on the offer, and then we're at the character creator. One thing that immediately stood out to me is that you're able to set your own birthday, which is very nice, but also how detailed you can design your character, considering that this is a pixel art game. And I appreciate the amount of long hair options they give you, something that even nowadays is still lacking in a lot of games. Once I was happy with everything, I decided on the farm name, Harvest Hub. Yes, I googled that, because I'm lazy, and we finally arrive in Mistria. The first person we meet is Baylor, a traveling merchant, who has a smaller shop located in town. He asked if I'm here for Adeline's request, and I wanted to be honest and just said, yeah, I'm interested in the free house. He accompanied me on the farm, and upon arriving there, we got to meet Aland and Adeline in person. Adeline just finished the house interior, and it looks incredibly cozy. I love the aesthetics of this game. Inside I got a quick tutorial on how everything works. It's basically the same as in Stardew. Go to bed before 2 AM to avoid passing out, a calendar to check for events and birthdays, but also you can save your progress whenever you want to, which is such a nice feature. Adeline gave me a vegetable soup as a welcome gift, and then it was already time for bed. Upon waking up the next morning, I had Celine waiting for me outside. She has a passion for flowers and lives in a cottage north of the farm. She handed me an old hoe and a few tulip seeds. Shortly after, we got interrupted by Hayden. He owns Sweetwater Farm, and from him I can buy livestock in the future. Also, I love his horse, it's so cute. Same as Celine, he gave me another tool, which is the trusty watering can, and more seeds. With that, I have everything to get started on my farming career. After planting the seeds, I made my way into town. Also learned that you can jump, which I really seem to enjoy. Maybe a bit too much. I collected some forage like berries, dandelion, lilac, and discovered that you have very limited backpack space available. In town I stumbled upon Adeline, who showed me the town request board, where I can accept different tasks for the townies. And more importantly, introduced me to the renown system. Every town in the Eldaria Kingdom has their own town rank based on its renown level. Mistria is currently at wood level, which is the worst one due to the recent earthquake. My very first task was from Adeline herself, where she wants me to meet everyone around town. And as we can see, there's a total of 22 villagers. For now at least. First stop was the general store, where I ran into Baylor again. Nora is the shop owner together with her husband Hole. And I think she's also Celine's mom, but I don't quite remember. As well as head of the commerce and Saturday market, which unfortunately hasn't been able to operate due to the broken bridge we saw when we arrived. I purchased myself 1 bag of potato seeds and completely forgot that my inventory was full. And by then, I didn't know that you could just leave items on the ground and pick them up later again. I got rid of the fiber I had, but yeah, it's not a big deal. Still, that bag upgrade I saw in the shop is going to be top priority. I sprinted back home to deposit all my items in the chest, and then I was back to meeting more townies. The Sleeping Dragon Inn is owned by Raina's family, her mother Josephine and her father Hemlock. By the way, if I mispronounce any of the names, which I'm sure I'll do, then please correct me in the comments down below. There's quite a few characters in this game where I never heard their names before, so I'm just guessing how to say them. To the left of the town building is a spot with a bigger tree where the kids meet up every day. Maple, Luke and Dell. The map was incredibly helpful while looking for everyone, as it shows the exact location of the people, even the ones you haven't met yet. The blacksmith is housed by Ulrich and his super friendly brother Marge. The local bathhouse is owned by everyone's favorite YouTube thumbnail Juniper, who has the most adorable dog, Doozy. Valen is the only doctor in town. Dorithia, who has the most insane biceps I've ever seen. She lives down by the beach and owns a smaller fishing shop where I can buy a rod for myself. I don't know what I was doing here because clearly I wasn't paying attention and forgot about her shop pretty much instantly, so for the next few in-game days I'm gonna be wondering where to get my fishing rod. But don't worry, I'll figure it out eventually. And lastly we have Landon and Rice, the 2 local carpenters. Surprisingly, I did manage to find everyone in a single day. The next morning I got woken up by Ayland, who was chopping down trees outside my farm. He wants to remove this tree as it apparently covers up very important stonework. I helped him cut down the tree, and sure enough, there was a dragon statue behind it. Ayland told me that this is a statue of Caldarus, the mythological guardian of Mistria. As a thanks for helping him, he let me have the axe, and upon examining the dragon statue, the text says it almost seems alive, which is not worrying at all. I'm sure it's fine. While watering my crops, I got my first level up, which is in farming, and while looking for the menu, I saw that there's actually quite a lot of different skills in this game. In town I turned in a quest for Adelan, which earned me my first renown points, more potato seeds, and some money, which I learned is called Tesserae? I'm just gonna say gold if that's cool with everyone. I had a bit of trouble, but eventually managed to find the museum, where Errol, the museum curator, gave me an overview of how collections work in Mistria. Besides artifacts, bugs, and fish, I can also donate forage and crops, which is pretty cool. Each set consists of 5 items, and upon completing these, I earn renown and various other cosmetic rewards. I donated the 1 dandelion I had with me, then met with Ulrich, who handed me his old pickaxe. Also, can we talk about how Ulrich is not a romance option in this game? That should be illegal. For an embarrassing amount of time I was looking for Rice to turn in a delivery quest, but for the absolute life of me I couldn't find him. So after 10 I gave up and went back home. After going to bed I had a very interesting dream. The dragon statue appeared before me and introduced himself. He thanked me for repairing the shrine and asked me to collect essence so that he can regain more of his strength. This is where we get introduced to the skill perk menu. Each skill has its own unique perks that I can unlock by collecting essence. The guardian told me to speak with him tomorrow by the shrine, and then my dream ended. I finished a total of 3 quests today, which brought us up to wood rank level 3. Next day I got a letter from Adeline, who wants to start the repairs on the broken bridge east of town. After tending to my crops, I had a chat with Caldarus, who gave me the ability to collect essence from now on. Then I was off to the museum, where I finished my very first set and unlocked a new cosmetic item. That's also when I noticed that you can change your outfit whenever you want to. There's no wardrobe, you just have everything in your menu, which is very convenient. Next to the request board is a wooden box where I can pick up the rewards I get from leveling up the town rank. This gave me another accessory, but also a bit of gold. Later I met with Adeline, Rice, Baylor and Nora to discuss the Broken Bridge project. Rice has enough experience to repair the bridge himself, though they are lacking the necessary materials, and that's of course where I come in. I don't know why he needs 60 wood, considering that this is a stone bridge, but I'm not gonna question that any further. So 60 stone and 60 timber it is. Since I didn't really have anything better to do, I started on gathering the materials right away. In the evening I had enough essence collected by now, which you can see under the amount of gold that I have, and unlocked my first skill point in farming, which is the prepared picker. Now forageables will have a chance to drop their seeds. The rain poured down on day number 4, which means that I don't have to waste any energy on watering crops. Not that it really matters, considering how few plants I actually have, but still I'm happy nonetheless. I visited Celine in the morning, who has a super cozy house, and gifted her a dandelion. At the inn I met with Luke, who handed me his old bug net so that I can help him document the insects around Mistria. Of course I told him that I have to catch them all. I made my way over to Hayden's farm, where I got my first wild lilac seeds, thanks to the skill point I picked yesterday. Inside Sweetwater Farm I had a look at the animal shop, and I was surprised to see how many different color variations there are. Very excited to get into ranching. The reason why I came here is because there was a symbol on the map saying that there's still someone I haven't met, and sure enough, I got acquainted with Henrietta, Hayden's prize-winning chicken. And I can even pet her. I love that. Later in the evening, I found new forage as well as my first critters, a snail and an ant. I went to the museum to donate the new findings, and was shocked to see that the snail cannot be donated, which is a bit discriminating if you ask me. You're telling me that the ant is more interesting than the snail? Okay. Upon going to bed, I got another town level up. This happens pretty much every day at the beginning, so I won't be mentioning this anymore unless we get to a new town rank status. Day number 5, I got a letter from Reyna, who let me know that Mistria has a tradition where everyone gathers at the inn on Friday nights, and this is my invitation to join them. I'm not gonna say no to a free drink. Looking at the map yesterday, I noticed that there was still an area I haven't discovered, which is the beach. And this is also when I finally found the tackle shop from Terithia, and remembered that she has a rod for sale. I'll come back for that a bit later. In town I picked up my reward money for leveling up the town rank and accepted 2 more quests. With the money I got, I was finally able to purchase the backpack upgrade. One request was from Eland, who wanted some wild berries, which I handed to him shortly after, and he gave me my first cooking recipe, which is for berries and cream. Also noticed that I can use the forge outside the blacksmith to upgrade my gear, which made me wonder when I'll be able to venture into the mines. A good chunk of my day was spent on the farm to collect more resources for the bridge, and after 6, I stopped by the Sleeping Dragon Inn, where I got a free drink from Reina. Everyone in town is actually here, not only the adults but also the kids. The townies at the bar have fancy wine and gossip. Also March was a lot friendlier than usual. Yeah, I smell that booze a mile away. Celine, Adeline, Baylor, Holt and Aelin play Dragons and Drama, where they all have custom characters, which is just so cute. And Holt's is definitely my favorite. Bad Brad, the bearded bard, has to be the best name for a custom character ever. The kids are also busy since they're planning to do a heist, and they need my help with that. Baylor rents a room at the Sleeping Dragon Inn, and they find it suspicious that he always keeps his door locked and want to find out more about his secrets. I don't know why they think it's odd that Baylor keeps his door locked in a public space that is open for everyone 24/7, but I don't know much about kids, so who am I to judge them? I need to be the distraction, and I'll learn more about the plan next week. I love how each group has their own little side story going on. It really encourages you to come to the inn every Friday. Back at the farm, I unlocked my second skill point in farming, which will give me a stamina boost the following day if I go to bed with 0 stamina. Next day I got a new recipe from Nora, as well as an interesting letter from Aeland, who wants to reopen the mines west of town. Of course I'm eager to finally go spelunking, so I met up with Errol and Aeland at the museum to discuss the process. The reason why Aeland wants to open up the mines again is because there's good ore down there that the town could certainly use, but Errol is completely against it and says we should focus more on the museum to raise the renown level. So Errol used to work in a mine shaft back when it was open if I remember correctly, and he has the key to open them once more. However, to be able to persuade him, we need to raise the town level from Mistria to at least stone rank. I'm really not a fan of these names. By now I had all the materials for the bridge repair, so I dropped them off at this wooden box, but before talking to Adeline, I got kidnapped by Juniper. She had a quest posted for a lilac that she needed to finish a potion. Also the music in the bathhouse is such a banger, I love it. The kids are also here to investigate, as the potion has a very distinctive, or more like disgusting smell to it. That's why she wanted to have the lilac. For some reason I was the one to try the potion, and it nearly killed me. How is this woman allowed to have a bathhouse? Because I'm almost dead, Juniper allowed me to take a dip inside the bathwater, which instantly restored my health and stamina. As a thanks, I am allowed to use the bathhouse for free the next 5 visits. If the bathwater always refreshes you instantly, then I will definitely use this, as this is really OP. Anyways, after nearly dying, I talked to Adeline to let her know that I collected all of the necessary materials for the bridge repair. Shortly after, I met with everyone once more, and Rice repaired the bridge. Oddly enough, the area behind the bridge is still blocked off, and according to the sign, this leads to the deep woods. But it seems like this hasn't been implemented into the game yet. While walking home, I came across the fastest insect alive. That's also when I learned that I can jump into the water, though you cannot use the net unfortunately. So after a whole lot of back and forth, I finally managed to catch a pond skater. After going to bed, we reached town rank, stone level. On day 7 I harvested my tulips and my first potato. Just one, but better than nothing. Juniper sent me a letter with a crystal ball attached to it as another way of apologizing for yesterday's fiasco. I also like the fact that she only sent the letter because her dog insisted on it. Thanks Doozy, at least someone here cares for my well-being. The crystal ball can be placed inside the house and it shows the weather of the following day. Who needs a TV anyways when you have magic? Since we reached stone level now, I met up with Errol and Aelin at the mine entrance. Errol held up his end of the bargain and finally opened up the way to the mines. Inside we spot the old elevator, and Aelin said that there's a checkpoint every 5th level. So nothing new there, but there's also another statue of Kaldarus. Here I can unlock skill points for combat and mining. The first monster I took down dropped the cutest hat, just look how adorable it is. The same level also had a treasure chest with copper ore and a ruby inside. Besides monsters and ore, there's also unique forage, fish, and even insects down here. As expected, I ran out of energy rather quickly, so I had to return back up on floor 4. Before leaving, I unlocked a skill point in mining, then wandered into town to collect my rewards for reaching stone rank. I should have really come here before going into the mines, as this gave me my first stamina potion. As the name suggests, this permanently increases my stamina. At the general store I bought 1 strawberry and 1 cabbage seed, as I need these for the museum collection. Also shops are open no matter what time it is, which is really handy. I planted the seeds and then headed to bed. The following morning I visited the manor house for the first time, which is this giant building right here. I don't know how I completely overlooked that up until this point. Adeline had another request for me where I need to help refill the emergency stockpile as this got depleted due to the earthquake. For that I need to ship 10 crops, and luckily Adeline handed me the seeds for that. After that I dropped off some copper ore for March, which he was very surprised about for some reason. Yes, I did your request. I'm the only person in town who does these. What exactly did you expect? This prompted another tutorial where he showed me how to use the smithing table outside. I can even infuse metal with different powers in the future. Blacksmithing, cooking and crafting take up in-game time whenever you make an item. I made my first 2 copper bars and already had enough to upgrade the pick, but I was missing the skill level for that. This reminded me that I still haven't bought that fishing rod. Already day number 8 and I haven't even caught a fish yet. That's not acceptable. So I rushed down to the beach and bought the worn fishing rod. Fishing in this game is very similar to Animal Crossing. The fish has to be in line of sight when you cast the bobber, and once it bites, you just click the right mouse button to reel it in. That's it. There's no minigame and I love that. Later I stopped by the museum where I donated all the bugs and fish I've caught today, and I was surprised to see that I already got my hands on a legendary insect, which was the speedy snail. And it sure was speedy. I unlocked my first skill point in fishing, where my bobber now has a greater range to attract fish, and I realized that I had no more space left in my chest. I had to look this up, as up until this point I had no idea how or where to get more storage space. Turns out you can buy chests from the general store or craft it yourself using the crafting bench at the carpenter, and there's even a crafting station in the middle of town, which I just haven't noticed apparently. I made a few wooden fences and stone paths, but for the chest recipe I need to be level 4 in crafting. Since I didn't want it to waste more materials, I decided to just buy one from the store, even though that's very expensive. A few hours were spent decorating right outside the house. The fence is cute, but I'm not feeling the stone path as it can only point towards one direction. On Wednesdays I gifted Ulrich a copper bar for his birthday and then went back to the mines where I hung around most of the day. Besides almost dying to the enemies and finding new materials, I did also manage to reach my first checkpoint. Day 11 I dropped off some wood for Rice, and as a thanks he gave me a free crafting lesson at his shop. Which is nice and all, but I already made some fences yesterday, so I'm good. Back in town I made another copper bar which bumped me up to level 4, and I was able to upgrade my pickaxe. Or so I thought at least. You don't actually upgrade your tools, you just get a new one instead. With my shiny new copper pick, I went down into the mines again, where I found my first artifact, being a perfect ruby. Fished up a cave eel, and once again had a near-death experience because, as in every farm game, combat seems to be more complicated to my brain than Monster Hunter apparently. Before leaving, I obtained another skill point in mining, which will now have a chance to spawn treasure chests, and well armed in combat, for biome unique armor and weapons to appear in treasure chests. On day 12 I found my first treasure box while fishing, which contained some gold and flour. This reminded me of the oven that is located in the Sleeping Dragon Inn. What's really cool about crafting, blacksmithing and cooking, you don't need to have the materials on your character when you want to make something. I made myself 5 trail mix, as these are a great energy supply, and this already bumped me up to cooking level 4. At the general store I have bought another wooden chest and 2 cabbage seeds. I spent most of the day fishing, foraging and exploring when I came across a large boulder that I was able to mine thanks to the upgraded pickaxe. This area had a mysterious looking well, and upon throwing some money down there, I got 1 wild berry jam. Not sure what to do with it, but I have it. I almost forgot that it was Friday, meaning that everyone is at the inn again. I chatted with all the groups and more importantly with the kids. The Dragon Guard heist, as they call it, now has a fully fledged out plan. On Fridays, Reina cooks cheese and potatoes, which makes Baylor very sleepy according to Luke. I was a bit confused because at first he said I was supposed to be the lookout, and then suddenly he said I have to deliver the cheese and the potatoes to Baylor. So what am I supposed to do now? Guess I'll have to find out next Friday. Now that the bridge is finally repaired, the Saturday market is back in business again, which even has its very own theme. There's 4 different vendors that we can meet. Vera is a hairstylist, Darcy who makes her own treats and coffee, Mary and her antique furniture stall, and lastly Louis sells clothing and accessories. All of these stalls were pretty expensive and I decided to hold off on buying anything for now. Josephine put out a quest earlier where she wants me to teach about cooking. As I didn't really have anything better to do, I stopped by the inn, where together with Celine, Baylor and Reina created a delicious meal. Even March showed up as well. Josephine mentioned that I can even have my own kitchen at home if I buy one from the carpenter. This made me realize that I never even checked out the carpenter shop inventory. So I rushed over, and sure enough, there's a home upgrade, crafting and cooking station, and of course also the animal buildings, which I'll be saving up from now on. Sunday morning I had Celine at my front door, who informed me about the upcoming Spring Festival. So the Spring Festival has a unique mechanic attached to it, where you have to collect so-called Breath of the Spring flowers, which only grow here in Mistria. These can be found by doing basically anything: mining, fishing, farming, and the more I collect, the better the festival will be. And there's even prizes for the person who collects the most. The festival is on the 17th, so I have about 3 in-game days to collect as many of these as I can. While harvesting my potatoes, I already got my first one. I thought that maybe the best way to grind for these would be the mines, so that's where I went. I obtained my first armor upgrade from a treasure chest, and shortly after, to my absolute shock, I found a mimic chest. Why? Just why? I was so happy when they kept these out of Elden Ring and now Farm Sim implement these. That is not acceptable.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.
I came across my first treasure floor, which had lots of ore and a miner hat inside the chest. I made it down to floor 10, and I think it was a good idea to come here, as I collected a total of 15 Breath of the Spring. After going to bed that day, I had another dream with Caldarus, who thanked me for helping him regain his strength once more. As such, he rewarded me with my first spell, and upon using it, it fully restores my health and stamina. Each spell consumes mana, which is this blue icon in the left corner, and upon consuming everything, it will recharge in a couple of days again. I haven't seen much about spells in this game, but I do know there's also one for watering your crops, which I'm very much looking forward to. I had enough money saved up now to afford a small coop from the carpenter. I was very unsure on where to place it, but I thought next to the field would make the most sense. I need 70 wood and stone to finish the coop construction, so I spent most of the day on the farm, gathering materials. A bit later I made a copper shovel, which I handed over to Celine, as she posted a quest for this a few days ago. I know I wasted a few copper ingots on this, but it was so worth it, as this earned me almost 1000 gold. On the 16th it was March's birthday, and I have no idea what he would like, so I decided to give him a sapphire, and I think it was a neutral gift. He didn't seem that excited about it. I had a few more items for the museum to donate, and with the cabbage I managed to complete the spring crop set, which gave me a new pair of overalls, and I love it. Then I was off to the mines. I made it to floor 15, and once again I was struggling with inventory space. Before leaving, I put another skill point into mining, smelted more copper bars, and with that made myself a copper axe. Celine was waiting outside my door the next morning to collect all of the Breath of the Spring I've been gathering over the past couple of days. I managed to find a total of 33. No idea if this is gonna fetch me a prize, but I guess we're gonna find out in a second. Before heading to the Spring Festival, I of course had to dress accordingly. Cannot just show up in my dirty farmer overalls. Much better. Josephine announced the winners for this year's Spring Festival. Errol came in 3rd place, myself was in 2nd, which really surprised me, and in 1st place was of course Celine. This earned me new decorations for my house. I love that Henriette and Ducey are also attending the festival. I purchased a flower wreath and bottle of Scent of the Spring from one of the stalls, as this is a guaranteed loved item for everyone, as well as a flower crown for myself. Super expensive, but also incredibly cute. After placing the new decorations in my house, I finished constructing the coop, then headed down to the beach to do some fishing. While doing that, I noticed that there's a smaller island next to Terithia's house, but the area seems to be blocked off for now. The following day I met up with Adeline in her office to discuss the next bigger town project. This time it's for the old mill next to the general store. Once again I was tasked to gather materials, mainly wood and stone, but also 1000 gold, which I thought was a bit odd. Why do I need to pay for the repairs all alone? Anyways, that's something I'll focus on a bit later. I spent the day finishing various requests. What I love about the town request board is that you can accept multiple of these and they never expire, so you can do them whenever you want to. I caught more fish and leveled up my cooking skill. After going to bed, I noticed that bread sells for a nice chunk of money, way more than any of the fish I've caught so far. So maybe I should prioritize the mill repair after all. Day 19 was an exciting day. It is finally time to buy myself some chickens, which I did of course. Say hello to Bobby and Kiwi. I think feeding animals yourself raises the friendship points with them more, but honestly, I don't know. I froze for a second when I realized that you can even pick them up and walk around while holding them. This game is so adorable, I can't. I feel like I still made very little progress up until this point in the mines, so that was my focus for today. And thankfully, I did manage to venture down further, making it to floor 20. Down there I heard strange whispers and found a weird tablet with an unknown language written on it. Seems familiar? I almost forgot it was a Friday, so I quickly rushed over to the inn, and luckily everyone was still present. Alan was of course also there, and I could already inform him about the tablet that I found. I didn't think that he would drag me all the way to his office in the middle of the night, but I guess he was really excited about this find. Unfortunately, he couldn't decipher the text since it is written in a language called Witch Speak, but there might be someone who can help me out after all. Juniper. So together we headed over to her bathhouse and explained the situation to her. Luckily, she was able to understand the text and was willing to read it out loud for us. In short, to be able to break the water seal, I have to present 4 offerings: a ruby, fish of stone, moth, and brown mushroom. Sounds simple enough. I still had enough time to go back to the Sleeping Dragon Inn since I still haven't talked to the kids yet. The heist has to be postponed as the cheese and potatoes I was supposed to give to Baylor are not on the weekly menu this time. Dale wanted to improvise, but the others decided that's not gonna be a good idea. Guess we'll find out next weekend what they did. On Saturday morning, I realized that I forgot to call back in the chickens yesterday. I'm such a great parent. There was nothing useful for me at the market, so I decided to do more fishing that day. Since fishing consumes so much energy, I tried out my spell for the first time, and boom, stamina replenished. In the evening I got started on collecting the materials for the mill repair and unlocked my first skill point in ranching. Sunday was Luke's birthday, and I thought a worm would be a nice gift since, you know, he's into bugs. But I think it was only a neutral item. Yeah, not doing so great with gifting at the moment. I brought the ruby, moth, and mushroom to the altar in the mines, but I was missing the stone loach. So I spent the next few hours looking for water pools in the upper levels. I found a cave shark, my second treasure floor, more artifacts, and with the last bit of energy I had left, managed to catch a stone loach. Upon donating the last item, I got a cutscene where a ghost lady appeared before me, Dragon Priestess to be precise. She thanked me for the offerings and told me to meet her down below. She dropped a heart crystal, which permanently increases my health, and I suddenly had Terraria flashbacks. Back at the farm, I spoke with Caldarus, who noticed that I managed to break the water seal. For this, he rewarded me with the Summon Rain spell. As I mentioned earlier, this one lets me water my crops for free. As Caldarus has regained a bit more of his strength, his memory is also slowly coming back again. There's 5 seals in total in the mines. He cannot remember who closed off the seals in the first place, and I'm very curious if all of these are already implemented in the game, or if we have to wait for that with the full release. This time I didn't forget to send my chickens back into the coop, and after going to bed, we reached town rank copper level. Day 22 I collected my first chicken egg, as Bobby and Kiwi have grown up by now. For breeding, however, I need a few more friendship points with them. For reaching copper rank, I got my second stamina potion, accepted another request, as I do pretty much every day, learned that I can get a free bowl of vegetable soup from the inn, and while there, leveled up my cooking skill once more. Made myself a copper fishing rod and sword, which is a massive upgrade from the regular one I've been using, then spent the evening on the beach to test out the new fishing rod. As I was checking up on my animals the next day, I got 2 shiny beets. I still haven't figured out what to do with them, so if you know, then please comment down below. I spent pretty much the whole day fishing, as I'm still missing quite a few donations for the museum, finished a few more delivery quests, stopped by the Mysterious Well again where I dumped in 500 gold this time and got fried rice in return. Shortly after I fished up a gold treasure chest, which contained 2 silver ingots, and later finished the spring river set. By day 24 I had all the materials for the mill repair, 2 copper ingots, 150 wood, and the stone. Rice got to work and pretty much instantly repaired the old building. Now I have access to more recipes like deluxe animal feed, flour, rice, and various other animal products. After that I checked out the new levels in the mines. Down there I found new fish, hats, bugs, and of course iron ore. Also I nearly died once again to one of the enemies. I really need to get better armor. Before heading back home I smelted the ore into iron ingots and leveled up my blacksmithing skill. Morning on day 25, I received a letter from Hayden, who thanked me for fixing up the mill and invited me for a cup of tea. I do love myself some tea. Of course I went straight over to Sweetwater Farm, where I got a tutorial for animal husbandry. Way ahead of you, my guy. He also let me know that there's an annual animal festival in Mistria, which I am very much looking forward to. As a reward for that, I get a bunch of hay, grass seeds, tea, and renown. Inside Hayden's house, I learned that I can also befriend the animals by giving them gifts, and naturally a liked item by Henrietta are grass seeds. I wanted to do more crafting today, so I spent the morning clearing out debris on the farm, then came across Hayden again and gifted him the tea I got earlier, and discovered another liked item. Making good progress. I crafted a birdhouse, scarecrow, and more fences, picked up my reward for reaching copper rank level 22, which was a ranger jacket, and cleared up the farm in the evening a bit more. Friday was spent entirely in the mines. I found my first random furniture item, which was a coral lamp, new forage, and more fish. I still haven't figured out how to deal with mimics, by the way. Anyways, I made it down to floor 25, and as always, I visited the Sleeping Dragon Inn to chat with everyone. According to Maple, this is the 4th and final meeting of the Dragon Guard heist, since the kids are all grounded. So they did actually end up just going into Baylor's room, and of course they got caught. I mean, I could have told you before that that was a bad idea, but since they were in his room, they did find out what Baylor's secret is, and it's that his room is messy. That's it. That's why he keeps his door locked. I'm so invested into all these side stories that are going on every week. Like I said, the adults on the bar gossip and drink wine or beer. Everyone at the cards table is making fun of Ulrich because he keeps winning the game despite him barely even understanding the rules. And I think my favorite is Dungeons and Drama, as I personally only very recently got into D&D games thanks to Baldur's Gate, and I finally understand what it means when someone says they rolled a nat 20. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what's gonna happen in summer. Day 27, I finished a request for Landon and Mary, bought 1 hot chocolate and 2 cooking recipes from Darcy's stall. The hot chocolate I immediately gifted to Marge, as I remember the first time the market was here, he mentioned something about chocolate from Darcy's, and sure enough, it's a liked item. I really enjoy that the characters give you hints and sometimes even just say what items they like. It really encourages you to always speak with everyone. Once again I was occupied with fishing at the river, pond and at the beach, where I caught my first large ocean fish in the form of an ocean sunfish. Thankfully I managed to find a few other new fish as well and finish the multi-season fish set before going to bed. Sunday was the final day of the season. I harvested my snowdrop and lilac, then met with Adeline and Aylin in front of the manor house to start repairing the damage around town, like these holes on the ground next to the fountain, or the random rocks in front of the museum. And last stop was the old path that leads up to the summit, and thanks to March and Rice, it is no longer blocked off anymore. Unfortunately it was raining today, so the view wasn't that great, but I'll be sure to come back once it's nicer weather again. I stopped by the tackle shop and bought all of the cooking recipes available to me, as I finally came to realize that selling raw fish isn't profitable at all. So I headed over to the inn where I made some of the new dishes, which brought me up to cooking level 15. Since I know that Errol used to be a miner, I thought he would maybe appreciate the miner's mushroom stew that I had, and what do you know, it's a loved item for him. By the end of the day I crafted my first 2 wooden chests, organized everything back at the farm, and headed to bed. And that concludes my first spring in Fields of Mistria. As I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, this is part 1 of a 4-part series, and I'm gonna try to upload summer as soon as possible. I absolutely love this game. It's so addicting, super cozy, and I think my favorite part about it is the music. It's so good. I really hope you enjoyed watching, and if you did, please leave a like, it really helps me out a ton. I'm still fairly new to this game, so if you have any tips, then feel free to leave a comment down below. I love reading them. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next episode.